because of semifinal 2 needing to come first. But here we are, live after warm-up. Anyway, here we are. Insanity versus eLconn versus Firestorrm versus Cupra. So how are we thinking about this? The chat said through a poll that eLconn got 4 votes and Insanity got 4 votes. So those are the 2 favorites, I guess. So will chat be correct? Will it be Insanity and eLconn going into the grand finals? So going through a warm-up here. Insanity, known for being a very faster player. Very faster player. I mean, at least in TM2. Toward the end of the game there, he was one of the top 5 dirt players, like you could probably argue. Firestorrm is a TMGL mapper, but also a very good player, and has a history in dirt. Not at the same level as Insanity, but he also knows this game a little bit better, possibly. So anyway, good luck, have fun to everyone. Let's take a look and watch Insanity in the beginning here. Insanity and eLconn going up the uphill. Let's look. 2 mistakes already from Cupra and Firestorrm, so already making a bit of a mistake in the beginning, but they'll be fine. Insanity taking a much wider line. eLconn trying to attack. They both go very close to the wall, and they have very, very aggressive lines here. Both very competitive players, experienced with pushing really hard in competition. This is going to be a great battle. I can already tell this entire match. eLconn going for more of an inside line. Insanity trailing behind. Insanity probably going to go a little bit wider here. eLconn touching. Insanity is going to realize that in the next CP that he can probably safe. So let's see that. And 0.55 down. Let's look down at eLconn. eLconn trailing still. Cupra actually overtaking eLconn with that mistake. So that's good for Cupra. Insanity going up the banking. Insanity making it into the finish with a 1 minute 0.51. Cupra in second. eLconn in third. Trailing by just a little bit less than 0.1 of a second. Firestorrm in fourth. Moving on now into the second round. Let's take a look at Firestorrm. Firestorrm taking an early lead on everyone. Much more inside approach compared to everyone's approach. So Firestorrm getting an early advantage here. Insanity making a mistake in the beginning. That's not good for him. Cupra and eLconn are now making a nice attack here. Cupra passing eLconn with a mistake, so Firestorrm is his last opponent for getting first. I can already tell this match is going to be insane. All these players having very good pace, probably all trying to push and pass each other. This is going to be a great match. Cupra trying to make an attack on Firestorrm. Firestorm stumbling in that section, gaining a little bit more speed out of this, but Cupra with more of an outside line. Going over the barrier there a little bit. Going over the dirt bump. Cupra with a more outside line will have more speed than Firestorrm, but it's not going to be enough. Firestorrm is going to take first with a 1 minute 0.69. This number, yeah, it doesn't work for me. Like, I'll try. Like, I don't know why it doesn't work. It doesn't assign numbers to me. Like, I'm pressing them right now, and nothing's happening. But, yeah. It's unfortunate for me, but whatever. Firestorrm making the early mistake. Let's go up to eLconn. eLconn only having 7 points with a mistake there. Insanity now trailing behind eLconn. Both keeping that gear. Insanity going for a lower jump. A little bit more outside. He's going to have a little bit more speed coming into this. But it's not enough to pass eLconn. eLconn still holding strong. Insanity going for a much more outside approach. eLconn more inside. That's going to work out for eLconn. Insanity going a little bit wide. Getting a lot more speed. Can he hold it through this turn? eLconn going up. Oh, almost touching, but he manages to still make it with a 1 minute .31. 0.1 ahead of Insanity. So currently, eLconn, who had 7 points, now has 17, and look at this battle, 20, 17, 16, and 16. So let's go down. Let's take a look at Firestorrm, who is currently in last, but not by much because he goes for a much more attacking line and catches back up to the pack. Goes for an inside line there, makes it a little bit better for him. Let's take a look at Cupra. Cupra made a mistake, so Cupra is going to drop a little bit more. eLconn making a mistake. It looks like his jump wasn't quite that good. Firestorrm is now trailing behind Insanity, but Insanity driving very nice lines. Insanity making it look so clean. Firestorrm going for a little bit more of a high jump than Insanity to get a direct line. At that section you can decide, do you want to go a little bit lower, get more speed, but you're going to have to do a farther turn and you're not going to have quite the correct line, or do you want to do just a little jump and have the correct line? So Insanity and Firestorrm showing the difference between those choices, and eLconn almost sniping Firestorrm, but it was not enough. So Insanity taking first, Firestorrm second, eLconn third, Cupra in fourth. So now Insanity at 30 points after 4 rounds. Let's take a look here. Firestorrm. Who made a mistake? It looks like eLconn dropped back. Let's take a look at Insanity with way too much of a wide line. Insanity making a nice little comeback here. Going super aggressive on that uphill. Firestorrm going for a more inside line. He's going to try to minimize his distance there. And that actually pays off for him. That is faster. Getting a little bit of a server lag there. Insanity now going through. eLconn making an attack. eLconn maybe jumping up with the pack. So this is actually such a close round. All 3 players are inside of each other, right next to each other. Insanity going for a more aggressive line. eLconn going outside, keeping that speed, keeping the gear, going for a little bit of an SD on the dirt. eLconn looking to make his comeback. Very nice time for eLconn. A 1 minute .22. Great comeback for eLconn. Cupra possibly feeling some pressure now, realizing that these players are fast. So that is it for the first map, Thief by Disrod and Hunter. So now we are at 36 to 31 to 26 to 22. Nobody has taken away a big lead yet. So we cannot call for certain what's going to happen in this match. So our second map is Venom by Firestorrm. Often the map that a match ends on, but it's always possible that the match will end on revamped as well. So it just depends on how dominant 1 or 2 players are versus how evenly spread out all the players are. So a little bit harder of a map, just slightly harder than the last one, a little bit more gear management. You can opt to take that outside line that Insanity just took. Very difficult to keep your speed properly there. Good luck to these players. So Firestorrm here, let's watch Firestorrm because this is his map. He made it. And who knows if that gives him an advantage. It may or may not. The players had a lot of time to train, but you know, it is his map. There are lines that he likes to drive for sure. Firestorrm going for a very inside line, which in the long run loses you just a little bit of speed. They all keep the gear. He loses the gear. Insanity trying to risk to keep the gear. Insanity falls down. Insanity is going to be far behind. So let's take a look from Cupra's perspective. Cupra making a mistake. So let's look. What is happening? Let's look from eLconn's perspective. eLconn trailing behind Firestorm by 0.2 of a second. Firestorm just a little bit ahead. Firestorm getting a little bit of an SD there. And eLconn is trying to come up behind him, but it's not going to happen. Firestorm, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, is easily going to be able to take home these 10 points. Doing a little SD up the hill. Firestorm almost not making the jump, but he did, so he gets those 10 points. eLconn in second, Insanity in third. Cupra coming in quite late with that 4th place. So now 40 to 37 to 36 to 25. Cupra probably feeling a little scared, a little nervous, being left behind all these players. Only by about 10 points, but that is enough to make one worry, to make someone think, hey, well, is this enough to put me out of it? Or can I come back? And Cupra making a mistake, so he will lose even more ground to these players. Firestorm a little bit farther behind. Let's take a look at eLconn. eLconn trying to make something happen, going for a wider line. He's going to keep more speed than Insanity, but Insanity having that good, nice lead for a while is going to use that to his advantage. eLconn going for an attacking line, but Insanity keeps more exit speed. eLconn looks like he may have gotten an Excel penalty, actually. So now Firestorm passing him. eLconn going for that inside aggressive line, which pays off if Firestorm stumbles, but he doesn't, and Firestorm will probably stay in front of eLconn. So that is a 59.38 for Insanity. Very nice time. And once again, we're seeing some spread that is pulling these players apart from each other. We have 50 points for Insanity, 42 for Firestorm, and 41 for eLconn. So Firestorm versus eLconn is going to be a very real battle. And Cupra is only a little bit behind, so he probably need not worry too much. Let's take a look from Firestorm's perspective. eLconn making an early mistake, but not actually that far behind, so we can't count him out just yet. Firestorm going very wide, keeping that outside line. Let's hear if he gets the gear. And he keeps the gear in that turn. Very nice. And he has a lot of speed going through, but bumps just a little bit. That's going to give room for Insanity to maybe catch up just a little bit. He goes for a much wider line. He's going to keep the speed, but he touches, and that's just not enough for him. Let's see, where is eLconn? eLconn is far behind. Cupra getting a chance to come into that 2nd place, but Insanity with a more attacking line. Let's see, it all depends on this turn. Who's going to get it the best? Insanity going very aggressive. Cupra going over the inside. Insanity's going to take those 6 points back, but he fails! He fails the jump somehow! Oh my god. So Insanity only gets 3 points, and that's going to be great for everyone who's behind him. Firestorm is now only 1 point behind Insanity, and he pulls away from eLconn just a little bit. So this is going to be great for these players. Cupra with a very weird line in the start, going for some interesting approach there, which is not going to pay off. eLconn also a little bit farther behind. Firestorm just a little bit ahead, swapping places with Insanity. Insanity keeping the gear. Firestorm as well, but Firestorm touches. Cupra goes wide, and Insanity is looking like he has a free pass in the beginning here. Only 0.2 ahead, but this is going to be enough for him to have a nice little lead. Cupra touching on the uphill, so let's take a look at eLconn. And Firestorm will be passing Cupra as well, because touching in the uphill will be an Excel penalty while you're going up the hill, which is terrible. You'll be losing speed. It's almost as if you're going uphill with a freewheel turned on. So eLconn vastly behind Insanity. An easy 10 points for Insanity here if he doesn't make the same mistake, and he won't. 59.15 by Insanity. Very nice. So now we look and we see Insanity, Firestorm. They're pulling away again. Insanity with 63. Firestorm and eLconn back next to each other. So these positions keep on swapping out just a little bit by bit. So Firestorm here going in, making the same lines as usual. And it looks like eLconn may have touched. He is completely out of this round. There's no way he is going to make that time back up. Insanity keeping the gear in the turn, goes for a little bit of a drift to get the inside line. Firestorm here, trying to pull up here and say hello, Insanity. I would like 10 points so I can pull myself away from eLconn, but Insanity is not going to let that happen. Insanity wants to get into the grand finals as soon as possible, and it looks like he's doing a very good job of doing that on this map. He has a lead of 0.14, only 0.11 now ahead of Firestorm, so this ending could decide it all. Firestorm going for just about the same line as Insanity, and as long as Insanity makes the jump, he will get the 10 points with a 58.90. Nice time for both of these players. Very nice time. And now we are done with Venom, and we're moving on to the third and final map, revamped by me. So now, going into potentially the hardest map of the map pack, revamped. This map has a lot of difficult little gears to keep, and transitions, and what have you. Tries to test even the best of players with a lot of hard turns and sections. So we'll see how well these players go through it. Sandy taking a nice lead in this warm-up, but it is just the warm-up, so we will see. Let's take a look at the points again. 73 points for Insanity. He's 12 points ahead of Firestorm, so that's at least one finalist attempt that he can guarantee no one else is trying to steal away from him. eLconn, only 10 points behind Firestorm, and then Cupra, only 9 points behind eLconn, so overall, the field is a little bit spread, but is spread evenly, so all it takes is a little bit of change to happen on one map, and we don't know how players will be doing on this map. Could completely change, so let's see now on Revamped. How will these players do? Good luck. Following Insanity in the beginning here. Insanity going on the uphill. Everyone doing it just fine, nobody touching. The goal is to get that gear, and everyone gets it. So now Insanity taking the lead. eLconn just a little bit behind, and Firestorm as well. Let's take a look from Cupra's perspective. Cupra just behind, makes a touch, a big mistake. He is going to be out of it completely. So now let's take a look from eLconn. eLconn not getting the gear. Insanity and Firestorm both holding the gear, so they move up by 0.2 of a second. Firestorm equal with Insanity at that last checkpoint. So let's take a look from Insanity's perspective. Insanity right behind Firestorm. Both these players, Firestorm making the mistake, so Insanity's going to go up and probably be passed by eLconn as well. eLconn and Firestorm are both right next to each other now. So this is a battle for second place at this point. Firestorm with a much more inside line. eLconn trying to reserve that speed, but if you have more speed, it makes that turn harder. eLconn handles his speed fine, and therefore stays ahead of Firestorm in that uphill, carrying all of that speed from 20 seconds ago into the map. All that speed kept and done well. Insanity with a very nice time of 103.86. Very good for him. So now let's take a look. Cupra, from his perspective, let's watch and see. How is he doing? A little bit of a lag there. Someone making a touch in the uphill. eLconn with an early mistake, 0.3 behind. Cupra is keeping pace with these other players, but it's going to be difficult to win. Cupra making a very strange mistake in that uphill, touching into the wall, so very unfortunate. Firestorm making a touch now, so I don't know what is going on with these players. But this round is pretty much a freebie for Insanity, I would say. He can relax and take his time. 0.75 behind is Firestorm, so he really need not worry about that. Firestorm a whole second behind now. Insanity going for that outside line. Firestorm with the inside line. So Insanity, if he does this properly, yes, he will pull away by another 0.1 of a second. So very good job for all these players. Keeping that pace. Insanity with a 104.14. Very nice. So Insanity now at 93 points. Firestorm is going to be at 71, so that is a big gap of 20 points, over 20 points. eLconn 10 points down from him, and Cupra is down by 13 from eLconn, so we're starting to see some positions feel a little bit more well-defined. eLconn probably trying to, ooh, Firestorm making a mistake, and that's going to give eLconn an opportunity. eLconn probably wanted to get a lot of points here. Now that Firestorm is out of it, try to maximize the distance he can catch up on Firestorm. 71 points, but he makes a touch and will get passed by Cupra, so that's not good for him. And Insanity is just relaxing, taking his time, and getting up into the lead. Once again, probably on his usual pace, which is enough to beat these other players, especially when they're making mistakes, so he probably has nothing to worry about right now. Cupra making these turns, very nice. Very steady. Cupra is keeping that lead ahead of eLconn, so he will get some good benefit out of that. Some much needed points, but actually eLconn going for the attack, and eLconn's going to pass by 0.01 of a second. Oh my gosh. And Insanity doing an insane time of 103.78 in the match. What is going on? So eLconn showing what a little bit of a snipe he was able to pull off. That was very good for him. Say, no, Cupra, I am not letting you pass me anymore. I'm going to let you have that little bit of freedom in the beginning, but in the very end, you have to hold it. You have to be as fast as you can in that uphill, because that ending is all about keeping your speed. Cupra making a mistake. eLconn behind. Firestorm, let's take a look from his perspective. He is almost 30 points behind Insanity at this point. Insanity is easily making himself a distinct player in this pack now. It took a little bit of time, but he's finally pulled away from everyone else. He's probably in the zone, feels comfortable, and ready to beat all these players. Firestorm doing his inside line. He's going to lose a lot of speed. He might even have eLconn start trailing him, and it is the case. But eLconn makes a mistake, and it's Cupra who's going to be passing him. So let's take a look at Firestorm. Firestorm going up naturally, easily, relaxing in the uphill. Insanity doing another 103, this time a 0.8 instead of a 0.7, but regardless, very nice times below 104. So far, I think we've only ever seen a sub 104 on this map from Dizrod and Insanity. So they are both showing they are two huge contenders for the grand final, and we'll be able to have a very nice fight in about 40 minutes. But for now, we have to see, we have to guarantee, is he going to make it into the grand final? It's looking very good for him. He's at 113. All he needs is a first place here to qualify, or get into the into finalist mode. And then once he's in finalist mode, he's gonna have a lot of opportunity to get another first place, because Firestorm is down to 80 and eLconn at 70. So this is looking very good for him, but they are making it difficult for him on this round. No mistakes from any of the players. eLconn going a little bit higher, so he's going to retain a lot more speed, but in this section, you don't want speed. You want to make it through, and Firestorm making a mistake, so that's going to be easy for Insanity now. eLconn only 0.2 down from Insanity, but it's not going to be enough unless Insanity makes a mistake, and now eLconn is trying to make that overtake. It's all going to be in this last uphill. Who is going to retain their gear? Who is going to maintain their speed? eLconn going for an insane risk here, but it's not enough for Insanity, and he tries to make it work, but he's 0.02 behind, and Insanity takes those 10 points, and Insanity goes into finalist mode. So now, looking at these players, we have to see who is going to be the one who's taking it. Who is going to be out of these players? Are they going to be trying to deny Insanity, or are they not worried about that anymore and they're thinking, I just want to come in second place? So we will see who is going to be moving on. Firestorm has to make at least 5 more round wins in a row in order to qualify. And eLconn would have to do, I think, 6 more. But Nezo was telling me in the chat that Insanity hates this map, so maybe these other players have some opportunities. Insanity giving the ... Maybe something wrong with his pad, I don't know. He's trying to type something, hopefully. Okay, looks like we're fine. They were complaining about map order, but I do believe this is correct. We are back on Thief as map number 4, which was map number 1, so I believe we're doing fine. So, moving on. Insanity's first finalist attempt, only being challenged by eLconn right now, but Insanity going for a much more attacking line. And Insanity makes a mistake, so Insanity is not going to have the opportunity yet. So now Firestorm and eLconn are going to be fighting for those 10 points, deciding who is going to be moving up. eLconn going for a more inside line, which does usually pay off in this map. Insanity making a huge comeback, though, with insane speed. He's actually overtaking eLconn. What is this boost from Insanity? What is happening here? Insanity making an insane comeback, living up to his name, and he actually overtakes and comes in first place with a 1:05. A 1:05 with a touch in the uphill. How do you do that? How is that even possible? GG to Insanity. eLconn in first place. Firestorm making the mistake. Cupra now 0.4 behind. So let's take a look from Cupra's perspective. Cupra not out of it still. We haven't really been paying much attention to him, but Cupra actually does have a chance to make it in still, because he's only about 25 points down from Firestorm. Insanity was dominant enough in the other map to kind of keep Firestorm and eLconn away from getting those big points, which is good for Cupra. However, he's making some mistakes right now, so it's not going to be great for him. Firestorm, 89 points, eLconn at 79. eLconn's really going to want this first place, and now that these other players can get the first place, eLconn gets 10 points and Firestorm gets 6. Anyway, moving on. Cupra in second, following behind Firestorm. Let's see, can any of these players make something happen and really try to pull away? Because so far, they're mostly relying on other people to make mistakes, to make touches and small little mistakes in their rounds. But so we see eLconn maybe making a touch there, I believe. I believe he did, yes. So Firestorm is in the lead. Cupra is in second, trying to trail behind Firestorm. Firestorm making a nice little comeback here. Cupra going for more of an inside line, and that will probably benefit him. Yes, he will have a little bit more speed. Firestorm. Oh, but what? Okay, he did like a bit of a bug slide there, initiated by a checkpoint. Interesting turning technique. Probably could be utilized in a map, but for now, and Firestorm just kind of running into the wall. Interesting. So eLconn moving up to first place, and he gets another 10-pointer. So like I said, a lot of these players, they don't need to make any like pace making, you know. Interesting. I don't even understand. Okay, maybe they're just complaining about the map order. But whatever. I believe this is the same order of maps as is in every match. But anyway, Cupra moving up to 3rd place. eLconn is trailing right behind Firestorm now. That turn is usually quite decisive in whichever place these players are in. eLconn is going to have a nice bit of speed boost here. Going for a lower line, he will have a little bit more speed, but Firestorm actually get through here. And eLconn comes up, and actually, they're right inside of each other, so we can't really decide. Both having the same gear. Firestorm making the same mistake, touching on the inside, risking too much, and eLconn is going to move up and take yet another 10-pointer away from Firestorm. This is looking not good for Firestorm. Closed the gap completely and now is ahead of Firestorm. Yeah, it's the same map order. It's always been Thief, Venom, then revamped, and then back around. Anyway, we now have Cupra making the early mistake, so that's not good for him. He's at 76 points. He's quite far behind these other players. Neither of these players is going to be able to be qualified into finalist mode just yet because he doesn't. None of them have 110 points. So even if eLconn wins this other round, he'll be up to 119, the dreaded 119. So neither of these players. Doesn't really matter who wins this round, honestly. It's just kind of a show match round right here. Firestorm going up a little bit ahead. eLconn falling a little bit behind. eLconn going through, trying to take a little bit more speed. Actually has a better gear there. Firestorm losing the gear, and Firestorm doesn't quite make the touch on the side as he usually would, but he goes for that inside line that he usually does, and it's not enough. He goes for the safe finish and gets his second. Just says, I want points. Good enough. Cupra coming in 3rd. Cupra kind of falling apart here, mentally probably. He'll need to make a big thing happen if he wants to contend for that 2nd place spot. So now we're moving on to Venom. Venom will be our final map, potentially, here. So now, moving on, we have Venom, made by Firestorm. Firestorm in the field here, playing. He fell behind eLconn a little bit, but maybe on his own map, he will be able to make something happen. Let's see. eLconn pausing in the middle of the road for whatever reason. Probably trying to relax for a second. Knows that if he gets first, then Firestorm moves up to 119. And if he gets first, that's actually huge for him, because at Firestorm at 119 means he won't be in finalists. So eLconn will get one free finalist attempt where he can afford to lose to Firestorm. So Firestorm probably thinking he has to get the 1st place here. If he doesn't, big trouble for him. So good luck to these players. We're going into the final rounds of this match, potentially. However, Cupra still could make something happen. He just would need to start denying a lot. So let's watch Firestorm here. Firestorm in the position where he needs to try to come in 1st place. That would be huge for Firestorm if he comes in 1st on this. If he comes in 2nd or 3rd, no good for him. So we see Cupra making some attacks here. Cupra going for a little bit less of an outside line. Firestorm trying to keep that speed as much as he possibly can, and he does it, but he goes a little too wide, and that isn't going to look good for him. eLconn trailing behind. Cupra actually being a little bit better, a little bit closer to Firestorm. but is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like it. He's 0.37 behind. eLconn for going for a little bit more of a direct line. He's going to overtake, or at least be inside and in the same pace as Cupra. Cupra getting a big lift on his back right wheel, so that's going to lose him a little bit of time, a little bit of grip. He's going to be in the wrong gear going into that turn, so that means eLconn is going to easily be able to come in here with the second place. Not like it mattered, but there we go. This is a double finalist situation. Good luck. So now, if eLconn wins, he goes into the grand finals. If Firestorrm wins, he goes into the grand finals. If Cupra wins, he needs to do that multiple more times to deny these players. So let's watch from Cupra's perspective. How is Cupra handling this situation? He's going at about the same pace as everyone else. Falls a little bit behind, but has more speed. He's going a little bit more risky. Cupra not having as much speed as Firestorrm. eLconn always failing to have this start right, so eLconn now is going to pass Cupra. This is going to come down to eLconn versus Firestorrm for sure. One of these players is going to be going into the grand finals after this match. Firestorrm trailing right behind eLconn. eLconn holding the gear, but so is Firestorrm. eLconn known for having a good section here. He goes really direct, has a lot of speed. Firestorm actually being able to catch up to him. Firestorm is inside of eLconn. Firestorm having a little bit more speed. Let's take a look from eLconn's perspective. eLconn losing the gear. Firestorm going up. eLconn losing another gear, and Firestorm, it's looking so good for him. All he has to do is relax, hold this in this turn. He goes up, and Firestorm is going to be your next grand finalist. GG. Very exciting match there. There's no telling whether it was going to be eLconn or Firestorm winning. So now we prepare the grand finals. Add members. Let's take a look here. We have display. Let's look here. So what was our order? We had Insanity winning, Firestorm coming in second, eLconn coming in